Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making this little werewolf. He is what I consider a no-sew body pattern, which means we are going to start by making his little arms, and then we'll make his legs. We'll join the legs, work our way up, attach the arms as we go, work our way up the head, and then we'll add the eyes, stuff, finish the head and close. And then we'll have to make and sew on all the little extras like the ears, the mouth, the teeth, the nose, and any embroidering we do. And then I'll have a little vest at the very end. For this video, I will be using a number 4 medium weight yarn, a 4.25 millimeter hook, and 14 millimeter safety eyes. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you, and I am also providing a drop down at the top of the screen with the pattern instructions for the first 30 seconds of every row for you to follow along with. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you will also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And don't forget to check down in the description under the video, where not only do I have the yarn types, colors, hook size, eye size, but I also have a link to my Facebook craft page if you ever want to share something you've made with me. Okay, I think that's everything. I hope it was worth the wait. So grab your yarn and let's get started. All right, we are going to begin with the arm, and you can start any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be making a knot with the loop on the end as if I was making a chain. Insert the hook, grab your yarn and pull up and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. Now going over top of the tail, row 1, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull on that tail to close the hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 6 increases. So that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Increase 3 and 4. Increase 5 and 6. Increase 7 and 8. Increase 9 and 10. And our last increase, 11 and 12. Row 3, we're just going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 4, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 5, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 6, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 8. So 1 single crochet for 1, decrease for 2, and continue that pattern around. 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, and our last decrease for 8. Rows 7 to 14 are going to be 8 single crochets all the way around, and I'm going to do those consecutively. So that's 8 rows of 8. 8 times 8 is 64, so I'm going to do 64 single crochets and then just flip my marker every time I hit a set of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Flip the marker, keep on counting. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Flip your marker, keep on counting. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Flip your marker, keep on counting. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Flip your marker, keep on counting. 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Flip your marker, keep on counting. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Flip your marker, keep on counting. 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. Flip the marker, keep on counting. 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. And then we're going to take our marker out. We're going to add some stuffing. Okay, so grab your stuffing. We're just going to begin with a little bit. And what we want to do is get down into the bottom of the hand and kind of make a kind of round shape. So I like to use my scissors. It's one of my favorite tips I got from one of my viewers. So if you're ever struggling to get down in a thin little area, this little scissor trick works wonders. So I'm just stuffing it down there, trying to create a bit of a ball shape, fairly firm. And then I'm going to take a little bit, then I just want to get that down evenly throughout the arm. So just try and grab little bits, put it down. If you think you have enough, like I think I do here, I'm just going to add that last little bit at the top. So you've got quite a firm hand and then a squishy arm. And grab your hook. Get that back in. And now we're going to close the top with 3 single crochets. So you're going to go in your next stitch, and then you're going to go in your last stitch. So you're going through both sides, 3 single crochets, and try not to catch the stuffing as you go. So 1 through the front and the back, 2 through the front and the back, 3, and then you're going to tie that off and leave yourself a little bit of a tail. Even though we're not sewing the arms on, I do something at the end to help stabilize the arms a little bit. So if you've just finished your first arm, I will be putting a screenshot in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do your second arm. And if you've done your second arm, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. All right, now we're going to start on the legs, and again, you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing the knot with the loop on the end. So grab your hook, go through your loop, pull up, and chain 1, just like we did the arms. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And again, going over top of the tail, row 1, 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we are going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, and our last increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1 single crochet for 1, increase for 2 and 3, and then repeat that around. 4, increase 5 and 6, 7, increase 8 and 9, 10, increase 11 and 12, 13, increase 14 and 15, 16, and our last increase 17 and 18. Our next row, we're going to be going in the back loops, and if you've never done that before, instead of going under both sides of that V, we are going to come down in between the V's and go out the back. So all our stitches will be just catching this back loop. Okay, so for row 4, in the back loops, 18 single crochets all the way around. So down between the V's and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And you should have a little ridge now going around the outside, which will kind of make your foot curve up at an angle there. Row 5, we are just going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Row 6, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 single crochet for 1, decrease for 2, and repeat that around. 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and our last decrease for 12. Row 7, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 8, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 9, we're going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and on this last stitch we are going to change to the pant color. So you're going to insert your hook, grab your yarn, and pull up like you were going to do a single crochet, but you're going to stop right there. I'm going to cut my yarn, and then we're going to grab our new color, and we're going to tie that on to that old color nice and close, as tight to the hook as you can get it. So I tie mine about 2 or 3 times. And then you're going to grab that new color and you're going to pull it through those 2 loops to finish off that last single crochet of your previous row. For our next row, we are going to do what I call a single crochet drop stitch. So instead of going in our next stitch under the V's, we're going to drop down into that hole where our last row of stitches went. So instead of going up here, we're going to go down here and do our single crochet. So it's going to look like this. And so for row 10, we're going to do 12 single crochet drop stitches all the way around. So that's 1. So remember, drop down into that previous stitch of the row. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, oops, and 12. So it should look like this now all the way around. All right, now row 11, we are just going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 12, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 13, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, if this is your first leg, you are going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Leave yourself a bit of a tail for sewing the little hole that you get when you join the legs, and then you're going to cut your yarn. If you are on your second leg, don't cut the yarn. We are going to use this yarn to join the legs and keep on moving up the body. So if you have just finished your first leg, there will be a screenshot in the next frame with a timestamp, so you can go back and do your second leg. And if you're finished your second leg, just keep on watching and we will move on to the next part. All right, now we're going to join the legs. Whoop. So you're going to grab, so this is your second leg with the yarn attached. You're going to grab your first leg in your other hand, and we want to go in under this knot where you tied off. And we're going to do a single crochet right in that stitch. Now for row 14, we are going to do 12 single crochets around your first leg, 12 single crochets around your second leg. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And don't worry about what's left here. We'll fix that later when we sew the hole closed. Now we're going to go over to our second leg that we made. And we need to find our last stitch, which is right here. And we're going to go over to the next stitch and we're going to do 12 single crochets around your second leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So your legs should look like this now. All right, now you're going to want your stitch marker in because we want to make sure we have 24 stitches in this next row. Okay, so for row 15, 24 single crochets all the way around, and make sure you're getting in that next stitch and you don't miss it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and that should bring you back to your stitch marker. And if for some reason you're not, do an increase or a decrease here at the very end. This is going to be the back, so you won't see it. It's as long as you have 24 stitches in this row. Row 16, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4, and 5. And then repeat that all the way around. 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10. 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and our last increase, 29 and 30. Row 17, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 18, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 19, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. All right, next row we are going to be going in the front loops. So just like when we went in the back loop, so instead of going down through and under both of the V's, we're going to come down, up, and through the middle of the V's. So we're just going to be catching this loop because the next row we're going to be going in the back loops. So row 20, 30 single crochets all the way around in the front loops. So you're going to go down, under, and up through that V. Whoop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. We're going under both of the V's now, and we're going to tie that off, just leaving enough of a tail to tuck inside. And you should have now a nice little row of back loop stitches that we're going to put our next row into. But before we do that, let's close up this little hole between the legs. So grab your darning needle, and we're going to thread on that tail from our first leg. And what I like to do is keep my finger down in there so I can kind of see the hole that I'm dealing with. And we're just going to go back and forth on each side until we have that closed. And if you find that you're going into a hole, like right here, you don't want that big gap. You won't be closing a hole, you'll be making more of a hole. So just catch a stitch above it or beside it, like this, and then you will have a better result. So we're just going back and forth, and see, I'm just catching an extra piece of stitch when I need to. Put your finger in there every once in a while to see how it's going. You probably only need to go about 3 times. Once in a while you'll have to go a few more. That's pretty close. Actually, I think that's good enough for me. And so you're just going to catch a stitch and tie a knot now. And then you can either cut this or scooch it down into the leg, just so it's out of your way. And then if you want, you can also weave this tail onto the inside now, or you can do it after. I do mine now because I know what stitch I'm going to be starting in, so I know how to keep it out of the way. So we're going to be starting in this stitch right here. So I just want to make sure that I don't interfere with that stitch when I come down. So I want to make sure I'm underneath of all those stitches. And then just get it onto the inside. And you can weave this a few times if you want. I'm not worried about it coming out, so I'm only going to do down a little ways. And then I'm going to cut mine as well. All right, so we have the bottom half done. Now we're going to grab our other main color here, and we're going to attach it to our pants. So you're going to want to make some kind of loop with a knot. I'll be doing my same way. If you like to use a slip knot or whatever you're more comfortable with attaching yarn, you go ahead and do it your way. So you want your loop to be just big enough to get your hook in. And make sure you're going on the same side that you're going to be crocheting. So I've been going crocheting this way. If you're left-handed, you may be going the other way. So this is where my first stitch would have been in my next row. So that's where I want to insert my hook, under that back loop. If I can get in there. And we're going to be going in this row of back loops. I don't know if you can see them good in the camera, but you should be able to tell on your piece. So put our yarn on our hook, and we're going to pull that through. And then we're just going to chain one. And this isn't going to count as a stitch. This is just attaching our yarn to these loops. And if you fold down that front loop row, you'll be able to get into these stitches a lot easier. So for row 21, in the back loops, 30 single crochets all the way around, and you're going to be starting in that first stitch where you already attached your yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And you may have to dig for that last stitch depending on how you started the beginning of the row. Row 22, we are going to be doing 30 single crochets all the way around, and remember you have that little piece where you attach, so make sure you're going in that first V and not back behind where you attached the yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 23, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. We're going to start decreasing down to the neck now. And I generally don't stuff any of my guys until I get to the last few rows. So if you struggle going that far and then trying to stuff it, you're going to want to start stuffing as you go now. Okay, row 24, we are going to do 3 single crochets, a 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. Row 25, 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 26, 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 27, 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 28, we are going to do 2 single crochets, a 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1, 2, decrease for 3, 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, 8, decrease for 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, and our last decrease, 18. Now we're going to add our arms on the next row, so you want to grab those and get them handy. So for the arm row, if you are left-handed, you may have to do this row backwards, but your main goal is to have your arms on the side and 6 single crochets in the front. So row 29, we are going to start with 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to grab your first arm, and keeping in mind that where your stitch marker is the back. You want to have your string facing the front. And we're going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and through the next stitch of the body. So that's 1 through the arm and the next stitch of the body. That's 2 through the arm and the next stitch of the body. That's 3. Then you're going to have 6 single crochets across the front, and make sure you're going in the next stitch because it's really easy to go in the same one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now grab your other arm, and again remember you want the strings facing the front, and you're going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and through the body. So that's 1 through the arm and the next stitch of the body. That's 2 through the arm and the next stitch of the body. That's 3. And then you should have 1 single crochet left unless you had to adjust for left-handed or to get your arms on the sides. Row 30, we are going to do 18 increases for a total of 36. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12, increase 13 and 14, increase 15, and 16. And when you get to these strings, make sure they stay on the outside, because that's where we'll need them for later. Increase, 17 and 18. Increase, 19 and 20. Increase, 21 and 22. Increase, 23 and 24. Increase, 25 and 26. Increase, 27 and 28. Increase, 29 and 30. Increase, 30 and 31. 31 and 32. Increase, 33 and 34. And our last increase, 35 and 36. Row 31, we are going to do 5 single crochets, a 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase, 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, increase, 13 and 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, increase, 20 and 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, increase, 27 and 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and an increase, 34 and 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and our last increase, 41 and 42. Row 32, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 33, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 34, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 35, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 36, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 37, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 38, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 39, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 40, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 41, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. All right, now we are going to add the eyes. So you're just going to want to kind of flatten your guy out using your arms and your legs to kind of center the head. And then grab your eyes so that they're handy. All right, now we're going to count down 3 rows from the top. So this is our first row. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then in between rows 3 and 4, we're going to mark our row. And now we want to find the center. So I'm just going to grab a little pin. And I think I'm pretty close. I'm going to use my arms. I'm just going to kind of come up from between the arms, straight up. And yeah, I think I'm pretty close. And I'm going to go right in a stitch. So I have a hole on each side of that pin. Have another look. If you feel like you're in the right spot, grab one of your eyes, and we're going to count over 4 holes from that center pin there. So there's our pin. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go in that 4th hole. Then we're going to do this exact same thing on the other side. So there's our pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that fourth hole. Let's have another quick look. I think actually, when I move my arms, I think they need to both go over one more. So I move them both the same amount over, so I still got the same amount of stitches in between. And yeah, that looks a little better to me. So once you're happy with where they are, you are going to put the backs on. And then while we're kind of at a stopping point, let's add some stuffing now to the body, if you haven't already. So you want to get down all the way into the very bottom corners of that foot, kind of emphasizing where you did that back loop. So I'm just pushing them out to the side, and I'm using the bottom of my hand to kind of keep the bottom of the foot flat. And then I try and take about the same amount and put it in the other side. And when you're doing this, you want them to be firm, but you want to make sure you're not stuffing them so full that the stitches are opening up. You can see I'm starting to get a little too much right there, and I can kind of see the stuffing a little bit. So now I'm just putting some more down the leg, and you want that to kind of transition smoothly from your first section to your next section, so there's not a bunch of little lumps. Then once you feel like you have the legs fairly even and firm, this one needs a little more in the leg, then you'll start going up into the hip area. And you can stuff this however you want. Maybe you want to give them a fat little tummy, or maybe you want them to be soft and squishy on the tummy. But you do want to try and make it so that this lip, where you did your front loops, kind of folds up instead of down. Out is okay, but you don't want it folding down. So I think that might be enough. He's not quite as stuffed as the other one. And then when I get to the neck, I want to stop. Almost like our body and our neck are two different parts. And that helps so that when you get stuffing the head, you're not stretching these stitches and seeing the stuffing underneath. Now you can go ahead and put some more in the top if you want. I'm going to wait just because I need some camera room for finishing up. And let's get our needle back in, or hook, sorry. Row 42, we are going to be doing 5 single crochets, 1 invisible decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our invisible decrease. So we're going to go in the front loop of the next stitch, grab our yarn and pull through, grab our yarn and pull through. So that's 6. Repeat that around. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and an invisible decrease. So front loop of the next stitch, front loop of the next stitch, grab your yarn and pull through, grab your yarn and pull through. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and an invisible decrease for 18. So the next 2 front loops, pull through and pull through. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, invisible decrease for 24. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, invisible decrease for 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and our last invisible decrease. Oop, can't get in that one. For 36. Row 43, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 invisible decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, invisible decrease for 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, invisible decrease for 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, invisible decrease, oh my goodness, for 15. I'm not the greatest at these, that's why I rarely do them. But if you're using dark yarn, it does help. 16, 17, 18, 19, invisible decrease for 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, and an invisible decrease for 25. 26, 27, 28, 29, and our last invisible decrease for 30. Row 44, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 invisible decrease. Repeat that around for a total of 24. 1, 2, 3, invisible decrease for 4. 5, 6, 7, invisible decrease for 8. 9, 10, 11, and our invisible decrease for 12. I'm also trying a different camera angle, so I'm not used to sitting this way either. 13, 14, 15, invisible decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, invisible decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and our last invisible decrease for 24. Now we only have 3 rows left, so if you need to add some stuffing, add that now. I'm going to add a little bit. Then I think I'll just add like the last little bits after I'm done, when I'm down to 6. So when you're adding into your face or your head, I like to have the cheeks kind of puff out, so I like to kind of spread them out at the bottom, but be careful not to stretch these 2 or 3 rows at the bottom. So you're just kind of stretching out around the middle, and then I put a chunk, see I have a little hole there? Then I put my bigger chunk right down there in the center. I have a look, see how I like it, and if I need a little more, I squish that out. And this is all about the shape of the head you want. You can finish now, you can keep going, you kind of pull your stitches up a bit. If you want them to have a little longer head, I'm just going to put a little bit in the center. I feel like I might have a little more than I want to continue on with, but I'll definitely need to add more when I'm finished. We'll see how this new camera angle works out for this. I think you can see it better anyway. So let's get our hook back in. And for row 45, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 invisible decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. Yeah, I have to take a little bit out. Okay. So 1, 2, and invisible decrease. Oopsie, come on, 3. All right, 4, 5, invisible decrease for 6, 7, 8, invisible decrease for 9, 10, 11, invisible decrease for 12, 13, 14, invisible decrease for 15, 16, 17, and our last invisible decrease for 18. Row 46, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 invisible decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 invisible decrease for 2, 3, invisible decrease for 4, 5, invisible decrease for 6, 7, invisible decrease for 8, 9, invisible decrease for 10, 11, whoop, caught some stuffing, we don't want that, so we're still on 11, and invisible decrease. Make sure you get through the whole piece of thread for 12. Alright, this is our last row. You may need to add more stuffing now. I'm going to add this much right now. And I'm going to add any more off camera that I think I need when I get down to 6. Alright, row 47. 6 invisible decreases all the way around. And you may not have to do all 6 when you're doing the invisible decrease. So, 1 invisible decrease. 2 invisible decreases, 3 invisible decreases, and just watch the size of your hole as you're going around. I'm going to do 1 more, 4 invisible decreases. So I'm going to stop at 4. I still need to get a little bit of stuffing in there, and when you pull it tight, you don't want there to be a bump up here. And if I did all 6 right now, I would definitely have a little bump on top. Alright, so we're just going to tie that off. You're going to leave yourself a little bit of a tail for sewing the top closed. And if you need to, just tuck a little bit more up inside that hole. Alright, let's take our stitch marker out now. And let's get our darning needle. And we're going to thread on the tail from the top of our head. And now we are going to just weave in and out of these top loops. I like to hold my starting point so I know when I've gotten all the way around. And then once you've got all your stitches threaded through, you're just going to give that a pull. And then you're going to knot it in the next stitch beside somewhere. And then you'll just go down the center and then out the back somewhere. Then I like to give it a little pull to bring that knot in to the inside and then give it a cut. And then let's see, let's do the arms. So you're going to thread one of your arm tails on. It doesn't matter which one you start with. And you're just going to go down into the stitch, the hole where the last stitch of your arm is, where your knot and your tail is. I'm just going to go right down in there, and then I'm going to come out the back of the neck in the center somewhere. And you're going to do that with this other arm string. So thread your yarn onto your needle. Find where your last stitch of your arm was, and you're going to go down into that hole. And you're going to come out in the same place your other arm string came out. Now you're going to give them one tie and keep track of your strings. So that's one tie. Kind of wrap him around the neck and turn him over. And now you're going to pull those strings and bring these knots to the inside and the arms forward a little bit. And it's just your own personal preference how tight you want to make it. Just be careful you don't break these ends that you're pulling on. When you're happy with where they are, just give it a couple more ties to secure them. And then we'll put them on the inside as well. And then just out back somewhere. And we'll give those a cut. All right, we're going to do the ears now, and you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be making the knot with the loop on the end like I was making a chain. Insert my hook, grab my yarn, pull up, chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch, that just attaches our yarn to our loop. And going over our tail, row 1, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 9. So single crochet for 1, increase for 2 and 3. Repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, and our last increase, 8 and 9. Row 3, we are going to do 9 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, and repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, and our last increase, 11 and 12. Row 5, we're going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 6, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 15. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5. And repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, and our last increase, 14 and 15. Row 7, we're going to do 15 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Row 8, we are going to do 15 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'm going to take my stitch marker out. We're going to fold our ear in half. We're going to go in the next stitch, and then we're going to go in the last stitch, and we're going to do 7 single crochets across through both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to tie that off, leaving a little bit of a tail to sew that on. So if you have just finished your first ear, I will be leaving a screenshot over in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do your second ear. And if you are done your second ear, just keep on watching and we'll continue on to the next part. All right, we're going to add the ears now, and I like to pin mine. So what you're going to do is you're going to find your centers where you closed. You're going to go down 1 or 2 rows. I went 2 on my first one. I'm going to do 1 on this one. So this is where we went around the top loops. So this is actually our first row right here. So I'm going to go between rows 1 and 2. And then we want to do the same thing on the other side. Find your center. So this is actually your first row. And we want to go in that pin too. So just have a look. See where your center is. Kind of make sure they're the same distance apart. And you want them to kind of be lined up with the front of the arm. And then we're going to put a pin on the bottom just to kind of line them up as we go down. So starting kind of on the inside hole of your eye, you want to go about 5 holes back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go in that 5th hole Just kind of see how they line up, and they seem to go up and down for me there. So do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 5th hole. Have a look. They're kind of lined up. I think good enough. So if you're happy with where they are, you're going to thread on one of your ears, and it doesn't matter which one. And you're going to come behind your first pin, around and through the stitch that your pin is in. And you're just going to go around, and you're going to come and into the first stitch of the ear. Then you're going to go down 1 row, trying to keep in line with this bottom pin down here. So 1 row around that stitch, and then into the next stitch of the ear, down a row. I might go back a little just so I don't go ahead of my pin, into the ear, down a row and around a stitch, into the next stitch of the ear, down a row and around a stitch, keeping in line with this bottom pin. That is what's going to keep your ear nice and straight going down. And you're just going to keep going down a row and then into the ear till you get to the bottom. Down a row and around the ear. And then for some reason I have 1 more row here. I'm not sure why. So I'm going to keep going unless I counted my rows wrong. I just got to remember that when I'm on the other side. Then I'm just going to grab up here and I'm going to go in that one twice just to keep it nice and secure. Then you're just going to come around to the back, and you're going to tie that nice and close to one of your stitches in the ear. And then we're going to put our thread down, again, nice and close to the ear, and then out the center back, somewhere kind of even with the bottom of your ear. So there we got 1 on. So let's grab our second ear now. We're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to go behind that pin. So our pin is in this stitch. So we're going to go behind the row, around the stitch, and up where our pin came out. Get our ear positioned right. Remember, we're going down to this yellow pin on the bottom. So you're going to go through your first stitch of your ear. You're going to go down a row and around a stitch into the next stitch of the ear, down a row and around a stitch. Sorry, it's awkward here. I should be doing this left-handed maybe. Through the ear. Remember, we're going towards that pin. So we're going down a row and around the ear into the next stitch of the ear. Down a row. and around a stitch, through the next stitch of the ear, down a row and around a stitch. Make sure I'm in the right row here. Into the next stitch of the ear. Oops, I grabbed some stuffing. Now I'm going to take that pin out. Just hold my thumb there where it was. Go around that row. And around the last stitch. Yeah, I must have gone through the stitch of the ear twice or something on the other ear, because it's working out how it's supposed to on this one. And then again, I go around that one twice. If you grab your stuffing like this, fix it. I'm going to have to fix that later. I just grab a little higher on that last one. Then you're going to tie it in the back. Nice and close to the ear if you can. Get your thread inside, again, nice and close to the ear, and then you're going to come out where your other ear tail came out. Now, if you want to, you can do the same thing you did with the arms. You give that one tie, keep track of your ends, flip him around, and then you can just give him a squeeze. Now, if you want, you can wait closer to the end to do this and just leave them there. I'm just going to give him a little squeeze, not very much, because I like the shape of his head kind of bulkier. And then tie them to secure them. And then we'll thread them back out the head. Your ends and save your scraps, because this is the perfect end if you want to shape the eyes with it later. And if you need to, just kind of adjust your stitches, get rid of that hole. All right, we're going to be making the muzzle now, and you're going to have to make a knot with a loop on the end because we will be starting with a chain. So what I like to do is fold my yarn over in half, then I wrap that around my finger. I'll bring that loop down, around, and through the hole, pinch the top of it, and then slide that knot up. And you want your loop to be just big enough to fit your hook. You're going to insert your hook and you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for row 1, starting in the second chain from your hook, so not the loop on your hook. This is your first chain. This is your second chain. We're going to start by doing 2 single crochets across. So 1, 2, and then we're going to put 3 single crochets in the end. 1, and turn or pivot your work as you go. 2, pivot, 3, and now you're going to be on the other side. So these are the stitches you just did. This is your chain, and now we're going to do 2 single crochets across on this side. 1, 2. and then you're going to chain 1, and you're going to turn your work this way. Row 2, we're going to start by doing 2 single crochets across. So starting in this first stitch right at the beginning, 1, 2, and then we're going to do 3 increases around the corner. So 1 increase, 2 increases, and 3 increases. And now we're going to do 2 single crochets across the other side. 1, 2, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 3, we're going to do our 2 single crochets across. 1, 2, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times around the corner. So 1 single crochet, 1 increase, that's 1 time, single crochet, increase, that's 2 times, single crochet, increase, that's 3 times, and then we have 2 single crochets on the end to go across. 1, 2, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 4, we are going to do 13 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 5, we're going to do 13 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And now we're going to tie this off, and I don't think we'll need it. I can't remember which side I sewed on, but leave yourself a generous amount of tail just in case. So this is going to be the top half. Now we're going to do the bottom half, which is basically the exact same. So I'm going to go probably a little bit faster. So again, you're going to have to make your little knot with the loop on the end. Make sure your loop is just big enough to fit your hook inside. And we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then for row 1, starting in that second chain from the hook, we're going to do 2 single crochets. 1, 2, then we're going to do 3 single crochets on the end as we pivot around to the other side. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 single crochets across. 1, 2, and then you're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 2, we're going to start off with our 2 single crochets across. 1, 2, and then we're going to do 3 single crochets around, or crochet increases around. So increase once, increase 2 times, increase 3 times, and then our 2 single crochets across. 1, 2, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 3, we're going to do our 2 single crochets across. 1, 2, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times around. So single crochet, increase, oopsie, that's once, single crochet, increase, that's twice, single crochet, increase, that's 3 times, and then now our 2 single crochets across. 1, 2, chain 1 and turn. And now for row 4, we are just going to go 13 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we're just going to set this aside because now we need to make the inside. So mine is going to be black, so let's just set this over here for now. I better take our hook out. So we're just going to set the bottom piece there and grab whatever color you're going to be using for the inside. And we're going to be chaining again, so you're going to want to make your knot with the loop on the end. Just big enough to fit your hook in. And we are going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Row 1, starting in that second chain from the hook, we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets in the end and pivot around so we end up on this side. 1, Remember, these are all in the same stitch. 2, 3. And now we're on the back side of our single crochets, and we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in this end stitch. 1, 2. So you should have a piece that looks like this now. All right, now grab a stitch marker if you're using one. Row 2, we're going to start by putting an increase in this first stitch. So 1 increase. And then we're going to do our 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to do 3 increases around the corner. Increase. That's once. Increase. That's twice. Increase. That's 3 times. Now we're going to do our 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to do 2 increases in the last 2 stitches. So increase, that's 1, increase, that's 2. Now we should have it looking like this. Row 3, we're going to start off by doing 1 single crochet and 1 increase. So single crochet and then an increase. Now we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times around the corner. So single crochet, increase, that's 1, single crochet, increase, that's 2 times, single crochet, increase, that's 3 times, and now we're going to do 4 single crochets across. I'm trying to read ahead and look at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase 2 times. So single crochet, increase, that's 1, single crochet, increase, that's twice, and then we're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch and tie that off. And again, I did leave a little bit of a tail in case you need to do some if you want to stitch it flat, maybe you want to add a tongue later, but always handy to have that tail just in case. So now we have our 3 pieces done. Okay, now we got to attach all the pieces together. So let's get our hook into our bottom. And remember, your bottom was the one you only had 1 row of 13 in. Your top, you had the 2 rows of 13. So your bottom is going to be just 1 row smaller than your top. So your top, your bottom, and your inside is how I'm going to refer to all these pieces. So I'm going to get my hook back in to my bottom. So that's when we still left our yarn attached. And I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch. Then you're going to take your inside and fold it in half. And your first stitch is going to come where that first stitch is in your fold. So this is the open part. This is kind of the middle. Your first stitch is going to go right about there. So you're in your mouth bottom, your mouth inside. And I know it's a little awkward, but once you get going, you'll get a feel for it. And we're just going to single crochet around the bottom. So 1, we're going through both the bottom and the inside. 2, 3, 4. And when you get this to this knot, you may have to skip one of your holes there. I stopped counting now. I've lost count, but we're just going to go all the way around. So just through the bottom of the mouth and the inside. All the way around. Just make sure your stitches are lining up here, and then you shouldn't have a problem with what stitches you went in. You should have about 13. All right, now we got to do the other half of the mouth. So you're going to grab your top half. So these ones will be facing each other to open. And so you want to attach, just like you did the bottom, you want to attach the top. So we're going to go through the first, make sure you got the outside on the outside and your tail on the inside. Go through your first stitch of your top mouth piece, and then the next stitch of your inside. And again, once you get going on this, it'll come together easily. You just got to get a feel for it. Okay, so that's 1. And we're just going to go around just like we did on the bottom. Make sure your stitches are lining up. And you should have about 13 going on this side. If you went around the slip knot wrong, you might have 14 on one side and 13 on the other, but you're not going to notice it when you sew it on. Oh. Just going all the way around. So you should meet up right here on the last stitch with your other side. If you don't, just do an extra stitch in there and pull it together. So you should have something that looks like this now. So our top, our bottom, and our inside. And then I'm just going to go into the first stitch on the other side of my mouth just to kind of keep it closed here, and I'm going to tie off. And this will be our end that we sew on, so leave yourself a nice amount. I'm going going to tuck all these extra strings in, just so I don't get the wrong ones. Probably not going to need that black, but all right, so there's our little mouth. All right, now you're going to grab your stuffing, and I only stuffed the top half of the muzzle. I didn't stuff the bottom, but I do have my black tail in there, which is quite a bit. Get that string in there. So just enough that it's flat on the one side. Have a look. You don't want this caving in too much, so you don't want to overstuff it. Just enough to keep it, to hold its shape. Then you're going to get your little guy. And we are going to pin this on. So I want mine lined up right under the eyes here, and you don't want any stuffing showing. So grab your pins, and I'm going to start by putting 3 pins right down the center. Make sure you grab all that stitching there, and then in the center of between his eyes, and I'm just on that row where his eyes rest. I'm going to move over a stitch, pin the next one up, move over a stitch on this side and pin that. So all 3 pins are in that same line. And just for now, double check that you're on the center of the muzzle and centered between the eyes. And then just kind of hold it in place. Make sure your bottom is straight. Then we're just going to pin it where it falls naturally. Oops. And I'm just making sure I do one on each side in the same spots. Oops, I do have a piece of string there. We don't want that sticking out. And I'm going in just about every stitch just to make sure it stays when I sew it on. Now I pulled those stitches out a little bit, so I want to make sure I pull them out again when I do this side. Every time you put a couple of pins in, just check it and make sure you're staying straight, and this is staying parallel. And then I'm going to turn my guy over, and I'm going to pin on the bottom now. So this might be a little tricky to show you, but I'll do my best. So I want to go in the center again when I'm on the bottom. This is your chain row right here. And I want to make sure that's centered between the arms. And I'm right around the first row of the head. And I'm going to put my 3 pins in. Oh, that one's bent. I don't want that one. Keeping in line with whatever row you picked. And then just put a couple up the side. I know it's a lot of pinning but you will be grateful for it once you get sewing around, because this will keep it from moving and it'll stay exactly where you want it. Just have one more quick look. I think that's going to work out good. Then we're going to thread on our needle. I'll do purple so it's easy to see, but if I feel like the plastic one isn't going to handle it, we'll switch it up. Darn, that one string, huh? Okay. Now I'm going to start going around, and I'm going to go down into my head, and I'm going to come up my first. I gotta fix that. I don't know why that's hanging out like that. There we go. So I'm going down into the head. You want to try and stay under the muzzle as you go around, and then you're going to go up into your first stitch. You're going to go down into your next stitch. You're going to catch a piece of the head, go around that row, and come up. Try not to get the stuffing. And then you're going to go up your next stitch. And you're just going to do that all the way around. Down through the muzzle and catch a piece of the row underneath. When you get to the 3 across, make sure you're staying in that same row all the way across. Up your next stitch. Actually, I think I need to go here first. I went a little far. So I'm just going across this row now. If you can cheat and go all the way through like I just did. But I would only do that when you're on the straight parts. And don't worry about this little piece here. We can sew that together later if we need to. So down, around a row, and back up. Alright, so just keep continuing around like that. And while you do, I'm just going to say a few things. So lately I have been putting all my info down in the description. If you want to check out the yarn colors I used, I have the sizes of the eyes that I used, the hook size, and then if you ever want to share something with me, I also have the link to my Facebook craft page. There's also a link to my TikTok and Instagram, but I will tell you honestly, I hardly ever go there unless I upload a little ad for one of my videos. So if you do go to Instagram and TikTok, because I know they're fairly popular, and you never hear from me, it's because I haven't seen it. I do check my Facebook page all the time, but I have found lately that some of my notifications don't show up. I'll go to a notification and then I'll see 2 or 3 posts that are like sometimes months old and I never even seen them. So if I haven't replied, it's only because I haven't seen it. I try and reply to every single one. When you get here, you're just going to do a little bit of a close to make sure those 2 pieces are together. So see how there's a space there? You're just going to close. If you want to go a couple of times around, you can. Let me just catch that stitch. And then I'm going to go back down and continue going around. I've I've also added a super thanks button, so anybody that clicks on that and donates anything, I will be adding them to the a screenshot at the end of my videos. So if you've sent me anything, check out that at the end. Your name will be there. And I really appreciate that. I guess another thing, I just want to say, I think I might have the best viewers ever. You guys are all so supportive and kind. You just have the nicest things to say. I love reading all the comments. I know I'm sometimes slow at getting back to them, but I really do appreciate hearing from everybody. And especially when I've made something that I'm not 100% sure about, and you guys just let me know that you like it so much. It just makes me want to keep creating more things. So thank you for that. I'll let you know I feel the support. I really do. All right, we're almost where we started here. I might go back one stitch just because that's where the opening of the mouth is. I know you guys have been waiting for this one so long. But here we are, saving the best for last, I hope. I'm really proud of this one, especially trying to make this mouth. So I'm just going to make sure that this the split where we have the opening of the mouth is closed like we did on the other side. And then once you're happy with it, I'm going to go one more time to make sure it's attached down to the face. You can just give it a tie somewhere nice and close. I think I'm just going to go right here. Oh, also let me know how you think this angle is better. I think you can see it better. I just got to get used to where to sit and hold everything. So just tying my knot. And then we'll put that down and through somewhere. Give it a bit of a pull. And let's give it a cut and have a look. You know, I could have gone up a little higher on that eye, but I think it'll fix when we push those in. Yeah, you won't notice. All right, let's make the nose now, and you can begin any way you prefer. We're going to be going in the round. I'll be making my knot with the loop on the end. And I can't remember if I did 6 or 8 for this, so whichever you prefer. I think I'm going to do 8. So I'm going to insert my hook, grab my yarn and pull up, chain 1, remembering that doesn't count as a stitch. It just attaches our yarn to our loop, and going over top of your tail, 8 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're just going to slip stitch into your first stitch. And then you're going to tie that off and leaving a tail for sewing that on. I guess we might as well sew everything on as we're making it. So let's sew our little nose on. And I'm going to cut my starting tail of my nose just so it's not in my way. And you just want to center it. I put mine kind of up a little on the higher side. So I got the row that we went all the way around, and then my next row, and I'm just sitting in that in that thicker row there. Just kind of get it centered and pin a couple of times. And we'll thread on our end. And since I'm assuming we're all going to have a different color than our base color, you really want to make sure you're underneath the nose this time so you don't see the stitches. So I'm actually going to join these two because there's a bit of a space here. So I'm just kind of eliminating that space so it's more of a circle. Then you're going to go down, making sure you're under the nose, around a stitch or a row. You're going to come up under the nose. And then you're going to come up your first stitch. And you're going to go down your next stitch, staying under the nose, go around a stitch of the head, come up, go up your next stitch of your nose, go down your next stitch of your nose, catch some of that head and come around. Go up your next stitch. Go down your next stitch and make sure you catch some head there. So you see, if you stay under the nose, you don't see your stitches around the outside. Go up your next stitch. Go down the next stitch and catch a piece of the head. Oops. Go up your next stitch. Just kind of make sure it's staying centered as you're going around. Then we're pretty much at the end, so you just want to finish off here, making sure you have it tacked down on all the sides. So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to come over a bit where I can tie it. So now when you tie it, you're going to want to catch a stitch underneath. So I'm going to go for this stitch right here. I'll bring it up closer in a sec once I'm in it. So I'm just grabbing a stitch. It should be more underneath, but for now I'm not going to worry about that. You just want to make your stitches under the nose. Once you get that, then you're just going to bring it down and hide it somewhere out the side. We'll give that a cut. If you've been looking for a wolf, you can also use any of my other patterns and then give it this mouth and make a little wolf as well. Like if you take maybe the dog pattern. I would actually use the fox pattern, I think. Take the fox pattern and give it this mouth. It'll look like a wolf. All right, now I'm going to shape the eyes here. And when I say shape, I'm just kind of bringing them in like this. So grab a scrap of your main color if you have one. Thread that on. And just using the same row that you put your eye posts in, you're going to go somewhere in the center and you're going to come out on the middle inside on that same row. Leave some thread for tying. And I'm going to wrap around my eye. If you're not wrapping around your eye, you'll just skip the wrap part and you'll go one row lower where I'm going to insert right now. So I went in on this row. I'm going to come down on the lower inside of the eye. And I'm going to go over and match that stitch on the other side. So just like that. And then if you're wrapping around the eye, and then you're just going to go on the stitch to match this stitch on this side, so the middle inside there, and then come back out where you started. And now you're going to kind of push your eyes in and tighten your threads at the same time. But first let's put one knot in there. Just make sure I have the right sides. All right, so you're going to pull and push at the same time. Pull your strings together, push your eyes down and towards each other. Give your strings a little bit of a tug and then push these together again. And just be careful you don't get them too close that they look cross-eyed. I think that's good for me. So I'm just going to give them a better tie. Oh, this guy is getting wild on me here. And then we'll rethread those ends and get those on the inside. We'll cut those. You may have a little hole here where you tied and stretched your strings, so you're just going to take your hook and just kind of manipulate those stitches back into place. Careful if you're using a plastic one. That's how I always seem to break mine. Okay, let's do the little accents on the eyes now. So I'm just grabbing a scrap of yellow. And I'm going to start by going just kind of the top inside of the eye right here. And then I want to match that on the other side. And you're going to want to leave a fair bit on this side to do the other. We're going to do this side and then we're going to do this side. Now you're just going to kind of shape this around to see where you want to have it. And I think I'm going to go down about 2 rows. And I want to catch as close to the eye as I can. And then I'm going to come out the center here. Make sure you're in a hole and not a stitch. And then you're going to pull this gently because you don't want this part to go under your eye. You want it to sit there. Then you're going to grab your other string on the other side. Thread your needle. And you want to match this one to this one. So I'm down 1, 2 rows and just coming under that eye as close as we can in that row and out the center. This guy doesn't want to cooperate with me today. And then gently pull that so it stays there, but it doesn't slide under the eye. Then we're going to tie loosely because we don't want to again pull those strings under the eyeballs. Tighten it as you go, and then once you have it, thread your yarn back on. Then go back down in that same stitch and out the back. And again, you want to pull this gently. I like to turn it around and watch. And then as soon as that knot is through, I stop pulling. Whoop. And then you're just going to give it a cut. Don't pull on that. And if you end up having some yarn left showing there, you're just going to go in with your needle and then swipe across, and that will be hid inside. All right, now we're going to do the eyebrows the exact same way. So grab a scrap of whatever color the eyebrows are going to be. And because mine are going to be down, I'm going to go in the same area that my eyeballs and my accent were. But if you want to make yours a different shape, just go up. You probably just want to keep in mind, stay pretty close to the inside of both eyes. So I'm going to go like this. And again, you want half on one side, half on the other side, because we're going to do one at a time. And before you commit to any kind of shape, you can decide how you want to go. You can do little droopies up in the middle. You can go quite severe if you want. I'm only going to be going up 1 row. I'm going to thread my yarn. Doesn't matter which side you start on. And I'm going to go up 1 row and 5 holes over, counting this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to go into that stitch. I did a double one on my last one. I'm going to do a single one on this one. I was thinking of brushing them at one point, but now I'm just going to leave him just how he is. And then we got to do the same thing on the other side. So if you're sticking with me, we're going to go up 1 hole and then 1 row and 5 across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to check that because sometimes they're uneven if you do exactly the same. That might be okay. Always take it out and redo it if you need to. And then you're going to come back out the same place you started. And again, don't pull these too tight. You don't want to make them shorter or whatever. That's okay, I think. Then we're just going to tie that loosely or lightly. Oh, I can't talk today. Day 3 of videoing is just, I think, getting to me. But we're almost done. Okay, and then go down in that same hole, out the back, and again, you're gonna lightly pull on that. You don't wanna make those eyebrows tight. So just gently fix your hole if you ended up making one. And then don't pull on your string when you cut it. We'll just do that little swipey trick and hide that inside. Oh, he's coming to life here. All right. All right, we're gonna do the teeth now. So I'm grabbing white. I'm gonna leave a fair amount of tail because we're gonna be using both ends to attach the teeth. You're gonna make your knot with the loop on the end because we're gonna chain. Insert your hook, and we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now if you want pointy teeth, you can do a slip stitch and a single crochet, like kind of a triangle shape. If you want straight teeth, you're going to do like me, and we're going to do a slip stitch and a slip stitch. So in that second chain from the hook, slip stitch, and tie off. And since there's only 2, we might as well make the second one now too. So leave your tail, make your knot with the loop on the end for chaining. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and whatever you did down the side, you'll do the same. So I did slip stitches, so 2 slip stitches. One slip stitch, 2 slip stitches, and tie off. All right, we might as well put those on too. And this is where I kind of made a mistake. I probably should have added these before I joined the mouth all together. But I do like to see it as I go and make sure they're in the right spot. So this is how we ended up doing it. So what I did was I kind of found my center. So I'm going to use this as my center stitch. So I want 1 tooth here and 1 tooth here. So I'm going to go down into the black, catch a piece of a stitch in a hole. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm going to come up 1 row down. And then I'm going to thread on my other end. I'm going to go over 1 stitch. So this is where I went in with this string. I'm going to go over 1 stitch, and then I'm going to come out through the same stitch as my other end. You need to give that a good pull so that knot doesn't stick out there. And then you're just going to tie them. And like I said, I probably did this the most backwards way I could have. But it's only 2 teeth, so. And you're going to rethread those ends in, and you're going to bring them out somewhere. Oop, I only got 1. So I go down in the same spot I tied them in, and then just out somewhere out the bottom. And then we'll do the same thing for the other tooth. Just make sure you have it facing the right way, or the same way as your other one. So I think mine has to face this way. I had my knot on the outside, so I'm going to have my knot on the outside on this one. So again, remember this was our center stitch, so we want to go over here and down into the mouth, around a row and out. Thread on our other end. Same row, but one stitch over. Go in there and then come out where our other end came out. And we'll give those a tie, nice and tight. Rethread them and put them out too. So down in that same hole and then just out the bottom somewhere. And before I cut mine, I'm just going to kind of make sure that I don't need to pull them in, get those knots in more. Seems like one wants to go to one side. And then we'll give those a trim. Might have to play with them a little bit. See, I don't know, this one, my second tooth always seems a little bit different, and I don't know why. Okay. All right, now we're going to do the little vest, and I chose gray for mine. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. I'm going to make my knot with the loop on the end because we are going to be chaining. Make sure I get the right end. Insert your hook, and we are going to chain 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Now starting in the second chain from the hook, we are going to do 22 single crochets all the way along the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make sure as you're doing this your chain isn't twisting on you. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then you're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 2, we are going to start with 2 single crochets. So 1, 2. Then we are going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to skip 5. So that was our last stitch right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to go into that 6th stitch, and we are going to do 8 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go in that 6th stitch, and we're going to do 2 single crochets across. 1, and get that second one in that very end stitch. 2. Chain 1 and turn. Row 3, we're going to start with a half double crochet increase, and to do a half double crochet, it's the same as a single, only you're going to yarn over first. So yarn over, insert your hook, grab your yarn and pull up, grab your yarn, and you'll go through 3 loops on your hook. So that's 1, yarn over in that same stitch, grab your yarn and pull up, grab your yarn and go through all 3 loops. So there's your half double crochet increase, and now we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do 5 half double crochets around the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we are going to do 8 half double crochets across. So starting in this first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now we're going to do 5 half double crochets around the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do a half double crochet increase in the last stitch. So that's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Then you're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 4, you're going to start with a half double crochet increase. Remember, yarn over, 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then we are going to do 22 half double crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then we're going to do a half double crochet increase in this last stitch, and make sure you get under both sides of the V in that stitch on the end. So that's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Chain 1 and turn. Row 5, we're going to start with a half double crochet increase. So that's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Now we're going to do 24 half double crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then a half double crochet increase on the end. So 1 and 2 in that same stitch, chain 1 and turn. Row 6, a half double crochet increase in the first stitch. So that's 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then we're going to do 26 half double crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and then a half double crochet increase in that last stitch. So that's 1 and 2 in the same, whoopsie, same stitch. Oh my goodness, I can't get it. There we go. Now we're just going to do a single crochet row all the way around the outside. So I'm going to start right here in that same stitch that I just was in, and I'm just going to evenly kind of space them up the side. I'm not going to count them. We're all probably going to have a different amount. And remember, it's a werewolf. This doesn't need to be fancy. If you like, you could actually try a picot stitch around here. I was going to do it on my other one, and then I just was ready to be done, so I didn't. Now I'm going around the corner, and I'm not putting double stitches in the corner. I'm just putting one because I don't want there to be a point there. So now I'm going up across the top on the back side of our starting chain. So one in every stitch around the top. I'm getting to the corner here. So remember, we're not doing any increases around the corners. Just one in every stitch. And I'm going to start going over that tail. Depending on where you ended up. Maybe your tail was in a different spot, but and I'm not going to go down the bottom because I want mine to be short, but if you want to go all the way around, just keep on going, 2 in the corner, then you'll join up over here where you started. But I'm just going to go and slip stitch in this next stitch. And then I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail because we will have to weave that one in. And this is my starting tail. I'm going to get rid of that now. It's under all my stitches. So now you're going to grab your darning needle, thread that one end on, and I always try and make sure my outside is where the nicer side of my single crochets are. So this is the side. Oh, wait a second here. Oh yeah, this is the side that I like, where you can kind of see the V's around the edges. And then this is the side I don't like as much, where you can kind of just see the back side of the single crochet. So that's going to be my back side, and then I'm just going to come in and weave in and out of these, the back side of these stitches. And you can go as far as you want and as many times as you want, but I'm just going to go a couple. All right, so that's good enough. I'll just get these ends cut. All right, now let's put it on. And there we go. He did turn out pretty darn good, if you ask me. I hope you guys enjoy him. All right, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you will also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And one quick reminder, anything you see in the background here, I have a video for. All you need to do is click on my photo and it will take you to my channel. And if you click on videos, there'll be a list of every video that I've ever made. And I'd also like to send a huge shout out to all my super thanks friends listed at the end of this video. And as always, take care, be safe, and happy crocheting.